Good afternoon. My name is David Koch. I'm the editorial director for Florist Review magazine. Welcome to the American Floral Trends Forecast 2014-2015. This is the 5th biennial edition of the American Floral Trends Forecast, and Florist Review is proud to be the coordinator for the project since its inception 10 years ago in 2004. I'd like to acknowledge the members of the Trend Committee who developed the trends. First, Michelle Perry-White, AIFD, CAFCO International. Gretchen Sell, Design Master Color Tool. Jack Sir Lewis, Smithers Oasis Company. Freddie Bayless, NAPCO. And Jean Gall, Michael Sims, and Michelle Bolshun from Lion Ribbon Company and Berwick Offray. I'd also like to recognize Florist Review's design coordinator, Lori Zirkle, who created the floral designs for the American Floral Trends Forecast that are featured in the brochure that you have in your hands. Finally, I'd like to thank our sponsors for the 2014-2015 forecast for their generous support and commitment to the project this year. California Cut Flower Commission, Berwick Offray, Design Master Color Tool, NAPCO, and Smithers Oasis Company. Now, to get the program started, please help me welcome the distinguished Bill Taylor, AIFD Fellow.
American Floral Trends 2014-2015, featuring Bill Taylor, AIFD. Sponsored by AIFD Gold Elite Partner, BloomNet NAPCO, and AIFD Silver Elite Partner, Florists Review.
Good afternoon, everyone. Are you there? Good afternoon, everyone. Oh, Lord. Too much. Before I even get started, I don't think in AIFD we have this tradition, but I'm starting one today, and that is that I'm going to dedicate this program to Miss AIFD, Frankie Shelton. So, anyway, that seems to me a good place to start. This is indeed the Trends program. We're going to talk about the nature of trends. And really what I want to do here in the beginning is I made a few notes. You know, 3x5 cards are really great for that. And then you have to link them together so you don't lose your space. Anyway, and how I started this whole project for me, and first of all, too, let me say that we definitely want to thank the sponsors, NAPCO, BloomNet, and certainly Florist Review. It's been a pleasure to work with them, to get the product, to get the trend forecast, et cetera, et cetera. So, and early on in this project, what I did is, because I have so many friends who work in what we call product development. I don't know if you're aware of that, but a lot of AIFD members spend a lot of their time every year working in slaving in Chinese factories, okay? And I happen to be one of those people. I will be gone the month of August and live in a Chinese factory for a month, which is a story in itself. Anyway, so I called these friends to talk to them about trends and how important they might be or not be or whatever. One of the first people I called, who's not an AIFD member, but many of you know my friend Court Schwannebeck, and I called Court and told him what I was doing, and he said, well, first of all, you need to change the name of the program. And I said, well, what would we call it? And he said, Tweeting, Twerking, and Trends, okay? I'm not up to tweeting, I'm certainly not up to twerking, so we'll just go with trends, okay. And Court really said that as far as he was concerned about trends, and he has a wonderful new store in St. Helena, California, is that you make trends work for you. You ignore the ones you don't like and don't seem to do what they need to do for you, and you enhance, embrace, whatever, those trends that seem to work for you and your business. I also talked to my friend Doug Brooks, and I have to tell you that I took my initial notes that I was taking as a possibility of being with Doug Brooks. We were together at the Ruby Tuesdays in Hong Kong, and I wrote my notes here on a little coaster You know, so we go to all lengths to get this information for you, you know. Anyway, and it's interesting talking to these different designers what their different attitudes are about trends. Most of them were very positive about trends. One of the people I contacted early was John Haynes, AIFD, who lives in Bali, Indonesia, and works in a Chinese factory. And he was very positive. And the thing about John Haynes is you ask John Haynes' opinion, you have to get out of the way. Because John Haynes sent me 5 pages of notes on what he thinks about trends and so forth. A very thoughtful guy, you know, that's just John. Michelle Perry, I talked to Michelle on the phone. The reason she's not here today is because she's doing her daughter's wedding in Italy, okay? I think she has her priorities on wrong, but what can I say? And there are a lot of AIFD members, Bob Hampton, Jason McCollum, Ken Fettgetter, Denise Lee, Mark Bass, Joe Gordy, people like that who spend a part of every year working in Chinese factories to produce the lovely product that we see. The company I work for produces product for, at one end of the scale for Joann's and Michael's, and at the other end of the scale for Bergdorf's. So, I mean, you know, it's a little bit of everything. And it's a fascinating work and a fascinating job. John Haynes says trends are important. By combining a professional trend forecaster with a good buyer and a good visual merchandising department, you have a great product. And that's really true. That's the key right there. John talked about the fact that when he first started doing this in China, that there weren't trends forecasts done by anybody. Today, all the big companies do trend forecasting. It's very important to their business. And he applauds that because it makes his job easier because he knows kind of what they're looking for before he even gets started. So he thinks it's very, very important. John says that trends are not created. John says that trends are the direct result of sales. When you think, well, how can there be sales if there isn't a trend? Well, the way that works is that you get your intuition going and you see what other people are doing and you steal, really important. And then you produce a product and then you see what it does. And if it is successful, it is a trend. And that is indeed how they are created. I have often thought that I would never live long enough in this industry to see the return of burlap. This is a sign I have been in this industry too long, okay? Or maybe I just lived too long, because I have never waited for burlap to come back, and now I don't have a choice, okay? But when you think about it, burlap, linen, the word hombre to me is Spanish for friend or whatever that is, you know, that's what hombre means to me. The fact that we now have green flowers to work with, is that not a wonderful thing? And that's certainly a trend. It is absolutely a trend. I mean, you know, we used to think green glads were weird, and now very much a standard. Battery-operated lights of all different kinds. You know, those are certainly an important trend in our industry. I mean, who would have ever thought we'd make these round mounds in cube vases and call them pretty and send them out? I mean, who would have ever thought of that as a trend? It's definitely a trend. We're all living with it and in some cases enjoying it. The internet, of course, and cell phones have had a huge impact on our industry. No question about that. The mere fact that you can send an arrangement to someone and they can take a picture and then complain about it is really a revelation to me. A couple of the designers said that, you know, a trend is really established by the successful sales of a product, which is really just common sense, isn't it? You put something out on the market and it jumps off the shelf at Macy's or your flower shop, and then that becomes a trend, okay? Some of them are successful and some of them are not so successful, but that's just kind of how it works. There also is this thing that I find that the trends people I work with do, and that is they have the same addiction I have. Those of you who know me know that I have a magazine addiction, okay? So right now I think I just get 16 a month. There have been times when I got more than 16 magazines a month. Florist Review certainly among them. Every shelter magazine you ever thought of, and I brought a few magazines and we will look at those as we go through the trends that are up here. But most of the different trends people are looking at magazines, they're looking at books, and And the thing that I find interesting, too, that I hadn't really thought about lately, and that is that when I was a younger person, there was a trend that happened when these giant movies were released. I remember when the movie Cleopatra came out, between the scandal between Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton, everything was Egyptian. It was all about Cleopatra. When Dr. Zhivago came out, you know, everything was Russian for a while. Is that not true? That happened. And then for a long period of time, I don't think movies had much of an impression as far as creating trends and interest in specific topics and art themes. And then what I would say happened was that Baz Luhrmann came along. You all know Baz Luhrmann because Baz Luhrmann created Moulin Rouge, the movie, and then followed it up with The Great Gatsby. And those of you who haven't, you will be soon doing a Great Gatsby wedding. I've done several myself. So movies have begun to make an impact again, I think. And then when you look at television, I mean, there isn't anybody in this room with enough poor judgment to admit that they watch Duck Dynasty. Am I right about that? If I say, do you watch Duck Dynasty, and you put up your hand, it should be cut off, okay? Now, Duck Dynasty. Now, personally, I like to watch Bait Car. That's my favorite television program, but not everybody wants to watch Bait Car. But the impact of Downton Abbey, right, is huge. The impact of those different shows like American Pickers and Antiques Roadshow, for instance. People watch those shows. People are much more knowledgeable about antiques and that kind of thing than they used to be, thanks to those television shows. All right, so interestingly enough, the movie Great Gatsby cost $105 million to make, and so far it has raked in over $400 million. So Baz did a good job, okay? Got a good return on his money. The other thing I want to suggest to you, which is kind of related to trends, but just something I think you should know, is that how many of you, and if you're smart, you'll raise your hand, listen to TED Talks. Y'all know what TED Talks are? See, there's some intelligent people in this audience. And you may not have thought so, but they're really here. TED.com, TED.com. Spend some time on TED.com. Wonderful topics, wonderful speakers. They have only 20-minute segments of time where the speakers can speak. Type in the word art, type in the word trend, whatever, and be amazed what you get to find out. You know, it's just a great thing. I also found on Netflix a wonderful documentary called Scatter My Ashes at Bergdorf. Okay, and it's a really great documentary. Scatter My Ashes at Bergdorf. Okay. All right, so then what I did, having polled some of these designers that we know and love as our AIFD family, was that I asked 4 designers with the help of Jackie Lacey. These are 4 wonderful ladies. They were inducted into AIFD last year, so they're new to the organization, sort of, kind of. I didn't know them at all, so it's been my pleasure to get to know them. They have done really beautiful work. Now, I handicapped them, sort of, okay? I mean, here they are. They're being given a segment on an AIFD symposium program, and they were told that they had to be arrangements that could be carried out on their own steam, okay? They could not require a forklift to get them on the stage. They had to cost in the neighborhood of $100 or less. And of course, you know, come on. These designers have pushed that $100 limit right to the edge, okay? But compared to what you saw this morning in David's beautiful program and Luann's beautiful program, these will be a little bit smaller scale than that. And I really just wanted them to be practical. So while we're talking about trends, that these are designs that are closer to what you really can do on a daily basis in deference to just one more giant $5,000 arrangement. So that's what I did. I imposed on them to do that. So I think that's really what I had in mind to say. I hope you all got one of the Trends Forecast brochures, okay, because that's valuable. And that's pretty much it. So what we're going to do now is for each trend we have a lovely video. There's no dialogue, just some pretty music and sort of images that will be flashed to you that will talk about that, and then we'll bring out the designer and look at the design work that goes with that particular trend. Okay? All right. Onward. Great. And we certainly want to thank Florist Review for creating a beautiful video. All right, so this first trend is called sustainable nature, okay? And so it's really about ecology, it's about the green theme, it's all about that kind of work and so forth and so on, which I know we live with every day. Every time we throw something in the wrong part of the trash bin, we live with that experience. I brought 4 watering cans because recently I helped my sister move to my hometown, and she had 9 watering cans, and I was just thinking, why on earth would anybody have 9 watering cans? But anyway, this is the only American-made watering can that I brought to show you today, an elephant, okay? I don't know why anyone would need to water with an elephant, but I just thought it was great, and the fact that it's American-made is really kind of unique. And also for this theme, a lovely magazine that my friend Court sends to me every year called Gun and Garden, okay? I hope you see the humor in that. Gun and, yes, Frank, gun and garden. Yeah, Anyway, and then I brought some fabric, and we're going to look at these 4 designs, and we're going to do that with the designer, Tricia Fillingham. Yes, there we go. And I asked each one of them to bring out one arrangement just to prove they could carry them. And what do you want to tell us, Tricia, about this design?
Well, when I first decided that I was going to do sustainable nature, first thing that came to mind was coming up with products and things like that that you can get in your flower shop and that you normally would throw away, and try to put those in a design and make money off of it. So when I first came to Symposium, what I did is I went through all of the workroom and started going through people's trash and picking up this and that and figure out how can I put it in my design to make it unique and sellable. So this one is a wreath. It's from Napco, and it is already assembled with moss, so there's no labor involved in it. And then also I took this packing material right here that they were going to throw away, that they pack in flowers to add a different texture to it. So with the succulents, and then also I snaked some aspen bark throughout it to give it some more line. And since the wreath is made out of styrofoam, what I did is I just inserted water tubes into it to get the water source for my flowers.
Wonderful, beautiful, very beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. Just right there is good for the moment, and then we'll move it if we need to. Thank you, Jody.
Perfect. I'm going to come over here. This is the second piece that I designed for you. And the base is basically made out of a pallet. So when I went back there, they had stacks and stacks of pallets everywhere. So I just took it apart and used it as my base for my oasis. And I actually get pallets all the time from Napco because I do their pallet program, and I never know what to do with their pallets after they're done, so this is an option for you. Also, this wire was just left over, so I decided I'm going to use that as well. So my base is just basically a chunk of oasis right here, and then I did the moss and the calla lilies throughout to give it texture and line, so it's great movement through here. So the whole sustainable nature thing is using like moss and rustic materials such as like the grapevine wreaths and stuff. This actually was a nest that I took apart and weaved through here, so to get that look.
That's lovely, isn't it? Yeah. Terrific. Very nice. Now, where do you want to go with this one?
Let's go over here.
Okay, I got it. You follow me. I'll lead you over here.
So this is my third piece, and I basically love this wire. At first I had it on a different form, but once I started using it basically as a bridal bouquet holder, I decided it's really unique and that I wanted to use it in my design. Basically the top up there is just a bridal bouquet that I used with mums, and I have a big giant beautiful succulent in the top that you'll be able to see later. And then I use the steel grass to make movement. Now, right in here is they're air plants, and they're from it's bromeliads. Can't remember who it's from, but they're really cool. And I actually asked them if these were spray painted, because they really look like they are, and they're not. They are actually grown naturally like that. And they have red ones and peach ones and different materials. So, but I thought that they'd be kind of cool too if you stuck them up through the wire.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
I like the way you repeated the angle that's going on with the steel grass relative to the angles of the wire fencing itself. Yeah.
Thank you.
Lovely. Thank you.
All right, this is one of my favorite pieces too. I kind of used a contemporary container and made it rustic with the, it's a corrugated cardboard at the bottom, and then I also used the wheels that are from Oasis and took off all of the ribbon, and basically just made an armature at the bottom there to put all of my artichokes in and my grass. So it has lots of movement. And these are all materials that you're going to have in your shop left over besides the vase. So
I think it's interesting that all of Tricia's arrangements have such great movement in them. Really have played that up. I think everybody in the workroom just fell in love with this ridiculously simple arrangement. Yeah, high compliment.
all right, and then this one I basically really like because I think anytime that you can take an ordinary container and turn it into something else, I think that you have high impact. And this basically is two containers. One of them I flipped upside down, the other one I wired in at an angle. And even though I really don't have much for flowers in this, it looks like it can retail for a lot of money. I really only have one rose and then one cabbage in there as well. And then basically the labor was not very long. It took me like, I don't know, maybe half an hour, not even half an hour, but anyway, I love the line with the rose and then the wood and everything wired together. But
rose and cabbage combination, that's beautiful. Yeah, that's
you.
beautiful. Thank you, Tricia.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so now we're going to move along to the next trend. We have a little video for you to do that before we introduce the next designer. So now we've looked at Tricia's interpretation of sustainable nature, and now we're going to go to the far end of the stage on this side and look at the coastal look. This is actually called fluid nature. I have a problem with that term. I wish they had asked me, because to me fluids are something you find at a crime scene. Liquid nature sounds so much more pleasant to me, you know, like liquid assets versus whatever else. So anyway, Coastal Magazine exists as a magazine. I bought this magazine recently called Seaside Style. You know, we can't all live at the coast, but seaside and coastal themes are very, very popular. And here's my watering can for this one. And unfortunately, it looks a little bit like some of that stuff they send you home from the hospital with, doesn't it? Anyway, what can I say? All right, so the designer on this end for our look at the coast, at the seashore, at water, at the spa is Sharon Ivey. Sharon? Another Georgia girl. Yeah. Here, let me move these, and then you can put it down, and we'll put them back. Terrific. Lovely.
Thank you.
Speak.
Speak. Oh, it's loud. Hi, y'all. I am from Georgia, yes. There are two of us. And we actually, when Bill called and asked me to do the fluid trend, I didn't know at that time that we were going to be moving to the coast. So within 2 weeks of that, we moved to the coast. So I have been studying the different fluids and water and how tranquil it is. And that's the great thing about this trend. People go to the beach to relax. And there's the sand and the water, and when you're doing visualization, then you think about the water and you visualize the beach. And I never knew until I was doing this trend how many patterns there are when you go to the beach. And it was great because you see the patterns in the sand and the different repetition, like the waves and all this. So I have the marsh. There are so many different water channels and rivers, and it's really great. So if you get a chance, study water, because it's incredible. It is so fun. So I had a ball with this trend, and I love it. It's great. Y'all gonna love it too. So anyway.
Great. Great. Okay. So you've kind of repeated some of those
yes.
different patterns and rhythms that are going on in this design?
Yes. It's a pave design.
Yeah.
And I have the repetition of the lines, and also in the middleino. And a good friend of mine, there she is, she says that I basically cannot design without middleino, and she's right. So middleino is awesome. Y'all are going to have so much fun with it. You can do a great static line and then just go wild with it with your dynamic lines around it, and it gives you so much depth. And that's what this particular arrangement, I love depth also. So this particular arrangement has a whole lot of depth in it, different textures and different patterns. And it is in the NAPCO container. It's the square ceramic container, and it comes in a set of 2. So I turned the smaller one upside down and used it as a pedestal. So, and it does have lots of lines and a big, strong focal in the middle for your principles and elements.
Lovely.
Thank you.
Very nice. All right. Right there is good.
Okay, that one goes up here.
You want it up there? Oh, I beg your pardon.
It matches.
Throw it up there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Speak.
All right, speak. Okay, these are great little votive containers, little candle holders from NAPCO, and they match this theme perfectly. This is the NAPCO cylinder, the ceramic cylinder that matches. They also have the dish gardens that's also in the turquoise that matches it. So you can take pieces of that, and you're going to see one of those in just a minute. But you can take those and sit that actually on top of this, and it'll do a great design too. This particular design, the thing that's standing up in the middle there is, it's a gutter guard, and it is from one of those places that we all go to and we love, and it's not actually for floral design, but we've made it that way. So I think y'all know who I'm talking about. There's actually 2 of them. So that's what this is, and I love it because it looked like bubbles. All the little holes in it reminded me of bubbles. So then I took the accent decor floating bubbles that are glass and used U-glue tabs and the strips, and I glued those on. And I have to tell y'all too, the U-glue strips and the U-glue tabs from Oasis, what'd we ever do without them, you know? I mean, aren't they awesome? They're just so good. So we love them. Yay, woo! I love those. So anyway, so they're just little bubbles everywhere. And then once again, the Middleino, and I also used the flat cane just to give it a little contrast there. So, and then there's some still grass and carnations, ruffled, that Renee Van Reems taught us how to do, how you just pull the calyx down, and then you fluff them out, and then you can do a lot of basing with them. It's wonderful. So, and then the dendrobiums, and then the colors of water. So.
Terrific, beautiful.
Thank you.
Very, very coastal.
Thank you.
Sharon, where do you want this one?
Excuse me?
This design, where do you want to put it?
Over there is fine.
Right there is good?
Oh, actually, it goes right here. I forgot. Sorry. I have another hangy down one.
That's a great container.
This is accent decor.
Is it? Yeah.
Yes, it is. And it has the barnacles. Don't you love it? If you're doing fluid or water, something at the ocean, it's fantastic, and it has so much texture. It's just, you just want to touch it. So to go with this, to repeat the element of this, these are actually little sea urchins, and they already had the hole in them, so I got a dowel and just jabbed it right down in the foam, which also in this foam, which is great, Smithers Oasis has rainbow foam, which is wonderful. You can let it show, and we all know, the mechanics are so important. We have to have our good mechanics, but with rainbow foam, you don't have to worry about it. So you can let your foam show, so I use it as often as I can so I don't have to worry about it so I don't get taken off. So anyway, so it does have the white rainbow foam down inside, and then I have the callas on here. It's supposed to be looking like the wind or the waves, just kind of going like that. And then, so that's my line. So I have my strong line here, and then I have my dynamic line there, and then my focal is right here. So the colors, once again, of the fluid.
Wonderful. Thank you. Terrific.
Thank you. Okay. These little I have to prop them up here because they fall down. So they get tangled up. So anyway, so this basket comes in a set of 3, and it's from NAPCO, and it's an amazing price. It's very, very affordable, very inexpensive, but look at the look. It's huge. And in Georgia, we do everything big. Down south, it's just big. If it's not done till it's overdone, honey, just throw it all in there. So this is big, and it's inexpensive, so we can get this great look for not a whole lot of money, and that's what makes our customers really happy. So thank you to NAPCO for this. You're going to see different versions of this basket, I think, later, and they're wonderful. What I used to line this was the packing, the little brown packing. So, and once again, I also used the Smithers Oasis rainbow foam, because down in here you can kind of see through the packing, you can see through the basket, but then I don't have to worry about my foam because it's the ivory. So it's great, awesome. And I wanted some movement. This is the waves. Here's my Middleino, but it's in the balls this time. I think everything I've got's got Middleino in it. And if you look down inside there, I have sea glass, and it has several of the little lights down in there. Mm-hmm. So it looks like water, and it's really pretty at night. And then the movement of the callas, and there's a place at home that's called Driftwood Beach, and it's right on the ocean, so this reminded me of Driftwood Beach. And it's a really big look, and it's not that expensive. So we could do all this for $100, retail.
Good, excellent, thank you. And the last design
that one goes, grab the bowl.
Comes
okay.
with a train.
just a little bit here.
There you go.
Is it sitting? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this one, these are actually recycled on the yarn. I used it for another project. And before I did this, and it was before Bill had called me, and I was like, yes, I get to use it again. Mm-hmm. So this is just a very, very strong line for the water. And to me, this was like the waterfall pouring out. And once, here's with the driftwood beach and the Middlino to give it a lot of depth. And there's some shells in there to help accent and help strengthen that focal area. So this one actually has 2 focal areas, because you can consider the water could be a strong focal line, but then also your eye is drawn to the center, which could be a focal, and it is enhanced and strengthened by a little bit of sheltering or veiling from the Middlino. So
beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Very nice.
Okay.
You done good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Sharon. All right, so now we're going to move from the coast and from the fluid to our next trend. So we'll look at that video and then see the designer's work. So this is poetic nature, and it's, as you can tell from the video, that it's very much about pastel and soft colors. It's about romance. It's certainly one of my favorite trend themes because it's just, I think it's easy to sell. I think it's easy to live with. It's just very much most appealing. For this one, you know, there's a couple of new magazines out on the newsstand these days that are called Cottage. This is the Cottage Journal. And the designer for this segment told me she's a subscriber to Veranda magazine, which is, I think, a premier magazine when it comes to shelter magazines for beautiful flowers. They really do emphasize that. And then here's a watering can I bought in Court Schwannebeck's store. It's the Rolls-Royce of watering cans. It's a Haas watering can. So we're putting that in the romance. It's the cost of the romance, okay? All right, so our designer, alive and direct from Louisville, Kentucky, is Tammy Gibson.
Today, for my first design, I have taken a round basket and have manipulated it and done like an oval shape. And what I have created here is like a handbag, like a garden Victorian handbag. Down deep is very soft, elegant textures, different types of textures. I've got some thistle, some scaviosa, some small succulents, and I've taken some oasis wire and made some small spheres out of it. I have binded my bear grass here to give it a cascade effect over the top of the basket, like it would be a closure on a purse. I have taken a piece of the muslin sphere, piece of the wood, and I have made a medallion to go on the front of the handbag. And I have brought in the Victorian look with the buttons across the handle. Deep down in the baskets, all different types of real soft, beautiful textures. And the roughness of the outside of the basket complements the beautiful Victorian look inside.
Lovely. That's great.
And then my next piece here, I did this a little more softer, a little more elegant. I had started out with an armature of the grapevine, and I have wove through some of the Oasis pearl beads to bring in the Victorian look. I'd used some opened garden roses, and I had just kind of bundled it and kind of textured this up here with the stalk and ran some ivy through it to give it a softer, more garden look. And then I love the look of the curly willow as it spills out from the wreath here that I've made, the armature, to give it a little more garden look. And then I have binded it here with some beautiful antique lace with some pearls down the front, and then I gave it a brooch in the front just to bring in some of the Victorian look.
Beautiful. Very nice.
And on this one here, I have done a higher style, kind of more little contemporary garden look. I have ran some of the ivy through the basket to kind of help cover up some of the roughness of the basket. I have done groupings and different pave techniques down in here to give it a little texture look. I've used several of the pins to give it a little the pearls throughout the centerpiece, and then I have also taken the pearl strings and have done it and binded my grasses here to give it a little texture look. And I've did some thistle up here to get a little decorative look at the top, and then I've just binded it here with some pearls.
Very nice.
And I'm a big fan. I love the raw muslin. I think it's so pretty, and I love the texture, especially when you like tear it apart because it kind of frays. I think it kind of gives it an old antique look, and I thought it went very pretty with the antique roses and the hydrangeas and the scaviosa pods. I thought it was beautiful. Then I have taken and I have tucked down some of the small buttons down inside the center of the rose to get a little more texture. And then I've just ran this moss-covered chicken wire through here. And then I've went down with the muslin, the air plants, and then I've used another one of the wood pieces from the muslin to give it just some little texture. And I thought it gave a little movement to the arrangement. And I also, this monstera leaf here has got like a gold flake to it, which is very pretty, and I think it brings in all the antique flair of the arrangement.
I love the fact that you've used some things that I don't think that are inherently romantic, but you've used them in a delightfully romantic way.
Yes.
Yeah, very, very nice. All right.
And on this one, I have just taken just an everyday basic urn, and I had taken a piece of just champagne colored fabric, and I have used the Oasis chain through here just to kind of gather it to give it a little texture look. And then I found some of the silver dusted Italian ruscus in the back, and then I just made a collar and just layered it down over the bottom of the urn. I thought it gave it a whole different look on the container. Then I just started with, I love the carnations. I love the texture that they give. I think they look very antique-y lace-like. And I went in with the Queen Anne's lace to kind of follow in the theme of the carnations. And then I tucked in several different Oasis pins and diamonds, and I thought it was very pretty. I used some of the Stilby. I thought it added more of the lace look, the hydrangeas. And then I went in with some of the champagne roses. And then to give it the bigger look, I went and I laced around with the lily grass. I thought it gave it a bigger appearance, and I thought it was very eye-catching with the lily grass in a circle motion to match the urn.
You done good. Thanks, Tammy. Thanks very much. And our last trend, which has to do with, well, I really almost, you just have to kind of see it to believe it. So we'll give you the video on synthetic nature. I think it's always nice to end a video with some butts in bathing suits. You know, kind of a nice note to end on. You know, I love this look. I think we all love this look. You know, it's one of those things like burlap. I never thought that, you know, those psychedelic colors would come back in my lifetime, but I guess if you've just lived long enough, it all comes back eventually. I was in Paris last week and bought this wonderful Italian watering can. Isn't that outrageous? Isn't that fun? Okay. And I brought Martha Stewart Living because I think it's probably one of the finest shelter magazines about cooking, about flowers, and let's face it, folks, these days, Martha is our champion. We love Martha. The other thing I bought that I had not seen before, and I know Doug Brooks subscribes to this magazine. You all have maybe not even heard of this magazine called Art Doll, which is just outrageous dolls, but great for inspiration for ideas. And also in Paris, I bought a new pair of pruning shears, and this pair of pruning shears, which is actually made out of chocolate, okay? So, there you go. So much for Paris. Anyway, so I have to tell you, too, that when I was at the fabric store buying the fabrics for these 4 themes, the lady who was measuring off the fabrics at Joann's, when she got to this one, she told me I shouldn't be buying this. You know, she's quite a saleswoman. She thought I'd done such a tasteful job, and then I bought this, okay? But to me, it just kind of, I mean, a moo-moo out of this would be fabulous. You just know that it would. All right, so for this trend, we have Jenna Naylor, who will show you the beautiful work that she's done for this look. And I want you to all notice that we think she made this dress for the show. Is that true?
I did.
Yeah, because she said these aren't her colors, but
No, these
they
aren't
are
my
her colors
You'll see,
now.
I'll be matching an arrangement in just a minute. It's coming up. But I started with the simple interpretation for the first one. What stands out in this trend to me is the stylized lines, the really great color. And so when I found out I was doing this program, I wanted to do a little bit of research. So I actually ran this one as a Mother's Day special, and people really responded to it really well.
Lovely.
But very simple, but the color is what really draws you to it.
Yeah, but just so colorful, it's fun, just absolutely fun. I think that that's the part of this theme, is the fact that this trend, this wildly colorful trend is really about fun and having fun with colors and flowers. Yep. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll take it up here. And this one, we're going away from the stylized lines just a little bit. I thought because the tribal patterns and the ECAT patterns play into this trend a lot, the baskets I think work well, but I think that you do need to update the color of it to something that's a little bit more fresh and youthful. So I actually wove this basket out of Midolino, And I added a little bit of the Gerber sleeves, is that what you call them?
Gerber straws?
Mm-hmm. So they're in there as well, but just bright colors, a little bit of jewels in the center of the Gerbers. This was something that I could sell in my shop that I think would do well.
And little jewels in the center of the Gerbers, that's wonderful.
Exactly.
Yeah, great. All right, terrific.
This is another same thing, the really strong stylized lines. This is a fabulous container. So just to incorporate that into the rest of the design, I created the armature from the flat cane, which kind of coordinates into the container. But fairly simple, just those strong colors and the strong lines.
Just lovely and fun. Doesn't it make you smile? I hope so. Really lovely.
This is the one that matches me. And again, it's the same thing. We've got those strong lines, strong colors. Again, I used the Gerber sleeves just for texture there at the bottom. But the patterns do play a huge role. Even in fashion, you see these patterns coming up in dresses and styles. And then also just a little bit of an accent that comes up through for a little bit of a detail.
I don't know when we've seen a container made out of the same material the presenter is wearing. Yeah, so that's uniquely wonderful.
And this one, again, just strong vertical lines. I wove this flat cane in the back, and then I used the Design Master to just put some patterns throughout that, kind of get to that tribal pattern back in there as well. And this is another great container. The color on this one was my favorite.
I love what you've done. Let's in fact, I want to turn this and just, she's had such a good time with the color on this screen that she built that kind of divides the design. Great texture, great color, Design Master at play. Very, very nice. Terrific. Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate it very much. If y'all can't tell the difference between these trends, it's time to find another job. Okay, you're in the wrong occupation. Did they not do a really beautiful job with these designs? And the last comments I would want to make would just be simply to say that it's been my pleasure to work with these ladies and work on these trends and so forth. We certainly want to thank the sponsors. I want to personally thank the people downstairs in the dungeon who, people who helped procure the flowers, Gary and Jenny and Katie and all the people downstairs, and certainly this backstage crew here is so helpful and so encouraging that it makes a huge difference in the whole proposition. Thank you all for coming. It's been my pleasure to have you here today. Thank you.
Bill, you're not going to go anywhere. Let's give Bill another round of applause. Bill. Bill. He can't hear a word I'm saying. Bill, come on forward. Bill. Yeah, so we'd really like to thank Bill for the program. We really appreciate it. I think we've all learned a lot about trends, and I think it's a key element within our industry. So, Bill, thank you very much. Thank you. Also, if I could have Tricia, Tammy, Sharon, and Jenna out front as well. We'd love to thank you for being a part of this program.
And I'd like to thank our sponsors for this, BloomNet, Lisa Carmichael and Monica Vicari, and Florist Review, David Koch and Lori Zirkle. Can't thank you enough. This is a great program. We learned so much with this. You delivered the goods with the program and the presenter, and especially our fabulous designer. So thank you so much. We appreciate it. Thank you.